Okay, so Trudy, I'm going to show you a prototype of the first activity. So there's a few changes in the lab environment for a start. So I've got rid of this flat bone board. I didn't figure we needed it. Now we have this one. I've made the room quite a bit smaller because it felt a bit large for what was in it. We can make it bigger later on if we need to, but I've added this table. So the table represents the first activity, which is the sorting activity, and I have this box which is just full of random bones. You can't pick them up, but it's there's quite a lot of just random small parts of bones as well. So to enter the sorting activity, you click on this one here. I think I might change the size of that text, make it a bit bigger, but click start. It takes you into the same sort of environment as the object inspector. Movement the same way, etc. And what I thought that boxes of bones would quickly get a bit unwieldy and potentially cause some problems, and also be quite high in the cognitive load stakes. They've already used the snap zones because that's what is on top of the podium in order to get into the inspector, so that makes it a bit easier for people. The library that I've got here, this is the same library that I now have working in the object inspector as well, to pull multiple bones in. I don't think I've actually shown you that yet, but you can get that installed on your headset to test it if you want to. I asked Chris to do that if you were to get in touch with him about it. So we have the library here. I need to disable those buttons. In activity mode, it's hidden the data that's normally shown on here. So normally, in the object inspector, you have the bone name and a category for it. But obviously in this environment, we don't want them to see that. We just want them to see the bone. So the way it works is that they just poke this and the bone appears in the screen, in the environment. The bone they've checked then becomes disabled, so they can't get a new one. We have, so I need to sort out the labeling on here because I've got a thing that should remove the name for when they're in activity, but that's not quite set up yet. So they get the object, they have to decide which of these categories it falls into. All they have to do is drop it onto the correct one. So the ribs, that's appendicular, so you just drop it on there and it goes away. You get a point for if it's correct, and there's a tally over there. And you just keep going around them. So scapular, axial, axial. And you can see how this goes. So the bones here are in a randomized order. So you can just work through them one at a time through here, or you can do them in the order that is presented here. The reason that I still will have the tooltip, even if they don't, like, it doesn't show the name anymore, I think I've set it to just say bone, is that if they want to, they can rescale it to look at it more closely. So it's important that they have the scale there as well. They can bring more than one in at a time if they want to, although I think I'll probably limit that to just one of them. There are a lot more appendicular bones than other kinds. At the moment, if you try and put it in the wrong one, it will just sit there and won't do anything. It rejects it that way, and it gives a little flash to say it's wrong. All of this will be amended in terms of how it flows, because I have a way of integrating it with a a kind of script software that will basically deal with all the feedback and stuff, and that's not integrated as yet. There you go. So that's the activity complete now. That's it. It just stops at the moment. I haven't made it go any further. But as a principle, I think that works quite well. The one thing I wasn't sure about was whether or not we needed a representation of the bones that are stacked maybe down here. I'm not sure whether we want that or not, so that they can see what they've put in it. I think it could be quite nice if there was just like a small version just down here, maybe just in a grid, perhaps. I don't know. I will think about that. The other question I had was for things like the ribs. Do you want them? Are you happy that the ribs are all the same as they are in the inspector, so that they're all in one block? Or would you want them to be individual ribs? And maybe the hand and foot bones as well. I can imagine that being quite a challenge, getting all those done. It could take someone quite a long time if they have to do all those bones, but maybe the ribs are more, I don't know, more useful to have separated. I don't know. So that's that. You can close it and you can bring it back by pressing the button on here. But these buttons here, I'm going to deactivate in here. They're just, yeah, I haven't finished setting this up for the activity context yet. If you press B again, you go back to the main room. And then the other thing that I've changed is in here, you have your bone board, which you can move around like this. And now any bone that you pull off, if you drop it, it fractures into pieces. So it's quite satisfying, especially for the little individual ones. And then it vanishes after about 5 seconds. They just all get cleaned up. So you can have a lot of fun just by throwing them around like this, which I think could be in practice what you want for your kind of experimental section. And I'll just show you what's in the bone inspector now, because that has the library in it. Oh, I need to grab a bone. So this is the bone inspector again. The same panel as we had before in the other activity. We have the bone that you brought in. We have the lamp, which I've made a bit bigger because it just seemed a bit small before. We have the see-through look inside tool. This has the title of the bone and the scale, the same as it was in the other one. Same sort of scaling, etc. But what you can now do is you can move this around as well. You can put it where you want it, but you can go, I want to compare this ox cost. Now I haven't put the side on here because I thought maybe we didn't want the side, but maybe we do want the side in the object inspector. That's something that we can decide later on. But say I want to look at that and they're the same, etc. So you can bring both of them in now and you can compare them and you can go, oh, make it a bit bigger, a bit smaller, whatever. But you can do this with as many bones as you like. You can bring them all in here. I think at some point we might need to put some sort of a cap on it just for the Quest 2. Might not be able to take as many in one go. Particularly not if we get the scanned bones and they are higher resolution and more complex. But you can bring these in, you can look at them, you compare them. You'll notice that there is a delete button on these. There's a delete button on all the additional bones that you bring in, but not the first one that you bring in. So that means that you can always keep track of which one you came in with. So that's the library. Go back into the main lab. I feel like it's coming together. I don't know about you. So what I would really like is some feedback on the sorting activity in particular and what to do with those sort of grouped bones versus the individual ones, and whether you feel like the mechanic is good for it, whether you want them to be able to see what they've put in each category or whether that's too much information for them, like once they've made a decision. I do have obviously plans to make it so that we can have have it more obfuscated so that the bone name isn't shown on the tooltip, etc. And also plans to include the sort of feedback cycles and the checking the answers and all that stuff. That's still to come. So it's just at the moment getting down the actual game mechanic first before we add that in. But I do have it planned. The other thing is that they are a little bit strange, as you can see. But I did manage to find a full skull separated into parts. The only slight issue is that they're designed to be 3D printed. So I don't know, this is looking a bit jaggy at the moment, so let's move here. But you can see these little points on here. It's designed to be 3D printed and then connected together with magnets. So it's got these little magnet spots. So I don't know if it's suitable in the long run, but I thought it would give me a model to play with to see if I can get the whole jigsaw puzzle type thing for the skull working. But that's probably an issue for several weeks from now. Anyway, there you go.